Hello and welcome to another edition of Interview with DJ Nocturna. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, please like, subscribe, share. My guests, I got two members of the dark electronic band from Madison, Wisconsin. And I got Eric and Jill from Null Device.
Hello.
Thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. It's a pleasure to have you guys. I know we tried scheduling this last week, but we got some crazy weather here in Hawaii, from all places. When every other place in the United States, I'm seeing delays and flight delays and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it's always the case, right? And people are getting sick. I was sick too, but I'm okay now. Yeah, I mean, it happens, right? But just a cold. But anyway, thank you both for joining me. I know you guys have an album out, and I wanted to talk a little bit about your band and how you all started. Now, tell us about how many members currently are I know you've been around for like 2 decades almost, right?
A little more than that in some form or another, but
yeah.
The current lineup has been around. When did Jill? Was it 2008?
End of 2007 was my first Null Device show. So I've been a part of the band in some form for about 15 years. I started out after the band had already been around for a few years, I believe. I don't know. Eric, you'd have to say when the band...
We weren't very good up until that point, so,
Yeah, I came a few years on, and Eric asked me to perform live with the band. So that's kind of how I got started. And over the years, I've kind of infiltrated more on the songwriting and behind the scenes side of things as well. So kind of shifted over the years from live to doing, just performing live, and now do live stuff, but a lot of stuff behind the scenes as well, with writing as well. So it's been kind of a shift for me since I started.
So Eric, you founded, you were one of the founders of the band, right?
Yep. I started it back in college in the 90s with Jill's brother, Eric, who's also named Eric, who was also my roommate at the time. So it was kind of we've kept it in the family. So.
Oh, good. How did it all begin in college? I mean, did you go to the University of... Now you guys are from Wisconsin, right? Madison, Wisconsin. And you guys are all from there, every single band member?
Not every one of them. The other Eric lives outside of Boston, in Massachusetts. So he kind of contributes remotely, but I live in Madison, Jill lives in Madison, and Kendra, who plays cello with us. Well, she lives in California most of the time, but she visits Madison a lot because she has family here. So
you started in college. So it's were you guys like because I was looking at your bio. I know that you guys are you play different musical instrument, right? I know there's a cello, there's a violin, which is just beautiful. It's one of my favorite instruments, and I'm glad you guys and I know this you guys are somehow science. You guys love science. This is
yep. We're all big nerds.
Kind of, and then in computer geek and science. It's amazing how you guys all have different likes and appreciate.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how we ended up all hanging out together. We all liked the same bands. We're all kind of nerdy people who like science and
science
computers
fiction.
And science fiction. Yeah, we're all big.
On my Ripley shirt from Aliens, so
yeah,
we're all nerds.
Exactly. So we all just started hanging out together, and Eric and I started writing stuff together, and then Jill got roped in, and now here we are all these years later.
Do you guys share your all the lyrics to the music or the songwriting, or is there one focus writer?
It's pretty collaborative, especially these days. When we first started, I was focusing mostly on the music, and Eric would do the lyrics, and then Jill came aboard, and Jill started doing the lyrics, and now we kind of all, me and Jill anyway, trade off on music and lyrics and stuff like that.
So what are some of your musical inspiration? Because I know you have, this is your 8th album, the last one, the latest one is called The Emerald Age. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. But the first 7, they're all different. They all have different influences, right?
Yes, yeah. I don't like being bored, so I don't try to do the same thing twice. Although a lot of people would say, it still always sounds kind of like us. Um, I mean, we're all big fans of some of the classics, Depeche Mode, Front
Yeah, I
242.
mean, I see it in the back.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I've got all my my old vinyl cutout vinyl
This
hanging on the
vinyl.
wall.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's troll the cutout bins for things to decorate my studio. Um, but yeah, we all like a lot of the same stuff, but everybody kind of comes at it with slightly different focuses. I listen to probably some more obscure, weird stuff from time to time. I went on a bhangra kick really hard in like 2007, so that showed up on an album, and things like that. I get I go off on little tangents from time to time, and it makes its way into the records.
so I know you've been around. So the first album came out in 2002. Is that right?
Yeah, Sublimation, yeah, on Nalaya Records.
Yeah. And so that was when how many people were in the band at that time? Was it just the two Erics?
That was just the 2 Erics at the time. Yeah.
Every band needs at least 1 Eric, so we have 2. So
yeah, yeah, we're doubly powered. Yeah. Every other electro band in the scene has at least 1 Eric. So.
I know, yeah. That's why I'm thinking. Okay, so which Eric am I gonna talk to? I wonder who's gonna show up. And yeah, it's too bad the other guys can join us.
Time zones, you know how it goes.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm so glad the time zone is very similar to mine. I mean, it's just a few hours away, but it's not too bad, right?
Yeah.
You should see when I try to talk to somebody in Europe. I have to like schedule it at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night. It's one or the other. Don't have much of a choice, but yeah. So tell us about how the first record. Do you think the music, how is that different? Do you think it's transformed quite a bit?
I think things have changed a lot. I mean, back then it was I was trying to write basically straight up bog standard synth pop. I was really into that the late 90s, early 2000s, like modern synth pop scene, the different drum bands and all that stuff. And that was, I also didn't really know what I was doing all that well either. So there's still a couple of good songs on there, and we even still play a few of them from time to time. But there was also a lot of stuff on there that if I were doing it now, I'd do it a lot different. But yeah, I think since then we've come a long way. I mean, for one thing, we have another person actually helping write the music, and that would be Jill. And that's changed a lot in how we approach constructing songs, just sort of overall, because having another perspective on things really helps. Also kind of helps me get out of musical ruts when I get stuck with something, and vice versa, I guess.
So Jill, you're also the singer, right? You sing as well.
Yes, yeah, I do backing vocals on pretty much every track unless I'm doing the lead vocals. So on this last album, I sing lead vocals on 2 tracks, and otherwise I do backing vocals. So yeah,
I think it's beautiful to have a female vocalist for, more of the synth pop kind of. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I really like doing the harmonies, and I really enjoy the vocal aspects of doing Null Device. It keeps it interesting doing those harmonies, and I really like that aspect of it. But yeah, as Eric mentioned, I've done a lot more songwriting as well. And so on this last album, even if I'm not the person singing the lead vocals, I'm still, often involved in the songwriting aspect of things, and I write a lot of the lyrics. So a lot of what Eric is singing is stuff that I've kind of had a role in writing a lot of the times as well. So it's kind of cool to write stuff, and I don't necessarily write things with a certain vocalist in mind, so not always sure where the song is going to end up in terms of who's going to sing which part. But it's kind of neat to have that variety, have Eric be able to do things and me do other things, and it definitely keeps it interesting.
So you came on board, or which album?
Oh gosh, I think the first album where I was a regular part of the live band was
Oh, okay.
Suspending Belief, but I think I just sang backing vocals on that one. It wasn't until Perihelion, which I think came out back in
2014.
2013. It's hard to believe how many
Oh,
years ago.
okay. Okay, so that's when, okay.
That's when I started writing more lyrics, and it's just kind of taken off from each album since then. And I started writing more lyrics, and then on this last album, I think I wrote the lyrics on a majority of the tracks on this last album, and also did a lot more with just the songwriting and inputting into the production and doing some of the recordings at home instead of Eric's studio. So it just kind of keeps building, and we'll see what comes next. So been kind of a gradual process where I'm slowly infiltrating the songwriting and production process.
And you play keyboard as well, right? Keyboard.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what are some of the themes for the Emerald Age? Was there a particular theme, or?
I mean, I think a lot of it was just that there's a lot of things that we were frustrated and angry about. I mean, a lot of it was written over the course of the pandemic. I think the first track that I wrote lyrics for was written in the fall of 2020. And once I got that done, I kept writing through 2020 and into 2021. So, you know, a weird time to be in the world, and also just nationally a lot of strange things going on. So I think just a lot of kind of bewilderment and anger and sadness was inspirational to me as far as the lyrics. And I mean, there's just things that were on my mind that I felt, you know, I sat down to try to write something. That's kind of what came out, and just kind of went with it. So yeah, really started writing kind of in the fall of 2020 and went on from there.
So would you say, would you guys say this is the darkest album?
Probably. Musically speaking, it certainly is. I got into slightly I don't want to say heavier or grittier, but more aggressive production styles, and I would say that, coupled with Jill's lyrics and the stuff that the other Eric was writing, between all of that, this comes out as probably a much more angry album in some ways, or darker is probably a good word for it. The themes we generally touch on, and the sort of musical motifs tend to be a little bit heavier than some of the more, I don't know exactly how we characterize some of our older stuff, but maybe a little more ethereal is some of our older themes and older styles, and we've kind of gotten a little more energized, I suppose.
Yeah, I think I used to be a bit more reserved as far as writing lyrics, and a little more kind of subdued, and I think I just let it all come out. And
Frustration.
so I do think there's an element to of just kind of letting go. And I have to say that in a songwriting process, I liked that a lot, actually. It felt kind of liberating and freeing to just kind of put it out there, and not be quite so, I guess, conscientious, not sure what the right word is, but just letting it out there and seeing where it went. And I really enjoyed writing that way.
Yeah. And Eric, I know you play the violin, right?
Yep. I was trained on it for many years up through college, and I just kind of kept going with it. I'm not nearly as proficient with it these days as I was when I was much younger, but I get by. Live, I played an electric violin because I'm not bringing my good violin on the road with me.
That's wonderful. So you guys play the violin live. Wow, that's pretty beautiful. And I know you have a cello player.
Yep, Kendra. I actually met her in college. She was my other roommate, who was coincidentally also named Eric. They were dating in college, and
Oh wow.
That's how I met her. It turns out I had actually met her years before at like a music camp, but I didn't remember her. But then we re-encountered each other in college, and then years later I'm like, you know what, this project we're working on could use some more strings. I wonder if I know any cellists. Hey, I do. So kind of roped her in.
So, I forgot to ask you, can you tell me how did you come up with the name of your band? I'm sure.
Oh, I get this one a lot. I was I was a huge computer nerd in college. Well, I'm still a huge computer nerd, and
I can tell.
particularly back in those days, the project when it originally started was very much focused on just kind of doing like Kraftwerk, Front 242 kind of mechanized, computerized stuff before it very quickly took a hard right turn into more synth poppy stuff. But because of that, I kind of picked a name that I thought was clever and computery, based off of some systems programming jargon, and it stuck. And I never got, I could have changed it probably early on, but now it's got recognition, and maybe we don't sound exactly like you'd expect a band named after a computer systems term would be, but that's okay. It used to bother me. It doesn't bother me anymore.
Oh, it's great. It's a great name. I mean, people will definitely ask.
Oh yeah,
because it's just different. And I know you guys do covers. I can see one in the back. And I know you must like Information Society because you do have a cover.
Oh yes.
Which I really like. Your
Thank
version.
you.
What's on your mind? I mean, that's just the total 80s kind of. And I know you like Nick Cave, and I'm a big fan of course.
I saw the shirt earlier.
Yeah, I wore it because I know you did the red right hand, and I'm like, the red right hand. Yeah, I mean, that's wonderful.
Yeah, we used to do that one live or a version of it years ago, and we never released it. And then
Wow.
during the pandemic, we kind of hunkered down and just re-recorded it. It's a different version than the one we used to do, but it's still kind of got the same vibe. And because I love that song, I always have.
Yeah.
And it might be the obvious choice for a Nick Cave cover, but it's such a great song. There's a reason it's a popular track. So
Yeah.
we just kind of ran with it and then released it as a single.
Yeah.
And it's our song with choreography because we get the red right jazz hand in it when we do it live.
Yeah, in fact, the album isn't the. I was looking at where you have this noted. There's a red right hand. Yep. Yeah.
The red right jazz hand.
Yeah.
And I know you like Yaz as well. I know that wonderful song by Upstairs at Eric's. Isn't that funny?
Mm-hmm.
That's from
yeah.
And you guys are Eric.
It all comes together. Wheels within wheels. I'm telling you.
You guys should kind of change your name to Eric.
It's too obvious. Just too obvious.
A big shout out to Ethan Morales, by the way, for setting up the interview here.
Good guy.
Yeah. So tell us about the Emerald. Is there anything about the Emerald Age? I know I love that name, the Emerald Age. This was released in November, right?
Yep, very beginning of November. We've been working on it for, well, as Jill said earlier, since 2020. Yeah. We released an album in 2019 and thought everything was going to be just kind of business as usual for a while, and then things kind of changed. And yeah, so this one, it's taken us a while to get this one going, but for kind of obvious reasons, it's been hard to get together and hard to
that's true.
work. We figured some stuff out eventually, and we did, I think we kind of got a groove going in our workflow. But it took us a while, but the title, we just kind of had a list of titles we thought would sound cool, and everybody threw some out, and that was the one that I think just sounded like it kind of fit for some reason. I don't know if thematically it means anything, but it sounds like it could.
Yeah, and I know you made some videos too. You guys collaborate to make the videos, or how does that work?
The videos are Jill. Take it
Um,
away, Jill.
Oh, yeah, usually I come up with an idea of
Mhm.
a possible way to do a video. I usually start kind of filming myself in some set pieces when I have an idea that I want to explore, and I kind of do kind of a proof of concept. And then once I've gotten a little further into that and think, okay, yeah, I think I've got something that might work here, then I usually bounce it off Eric Oehler just to make sure he's okay with the general idea. And usually he's like, yep, go for it. So then I just keep going. So yeah, the most recent video, Snake Eyes, was actually filmed. Part of it was filmed right behind me. Behind me, where you see this little black stand, was actually the spaceship set, the interior
Oh,
space
yeah.
set from our Snake Eyes video, which I built in my basement. That was actually my husband who plays the faceless character.
Oh,
um,
okay. The whole
it
family.
took me probably about a month to build the set down here, and yeah, so most of that was just filmed here in my house. I come up with the ideas, and then when I kind of have things further along, then I get the other band members involved, and by that point I usually have a much more specific idea of what part I want them to do in the video, and then it goes a lot faster when I get them in and can have them do really specific parts. But usually kind of starts with me having some ideas and having to kind of experiment a bit until I get it kind of tackled and pinned down.
Do you guys have any upcoming plans for live music, live performances?
We have another show coming up in about a month, not terribly far from here, in Green Bay, Wisconsin, at a new venue that's open there. We've got a friend who DJs in that area all the time, and he put us in contact and said, you should come out and play. So we're going to do that. We haven't locked down a whole lot yet. We're looking at doing a couple festivals this year if we can. Nothing is solidified yet, so I can't really speak to which ones because I don't, I'm not allowed to yet. But I'm hoping we can do a good number of shows this year because they're always fun. We did
Oh yeah.
some great ones last year. We didn't do a ton of shows, but the ones we did were just spectacular. We finished off the year with we did Unconvention in New Jersey, which was a lot of fun. That was with like Light Asylum and Leather Strip and Grendel and
Oh, wow.
all sorts of folks. And then right before that, we had played with Kylan Mikla from Iceland, and they're one of my favorite bands. So that was just great. Kylan Mikla and Kanga, and between the two of them, that was just a stellar show. So it's
Wow.
been a good year.
Yeah.
Went from nothing to all these cool shows within like a year.
So when you guys play live, do you have other members? Or who are the current like members like currently? I know there's you guys and then the other Eric and Kendra. And
yep, that's it.
Okay. So they also do the live shows?
Kendra does. Eric, the other Eric, does not usually. He watches the show sometimes, but distance kind of makes that difficult. But it's usually just the core, the three of us who perform live.
Oh wow. Yeah, it looks like a wonderful project, and I'm really congratulations on the new album.
Thank you.
I've been playing it on my show. I'll be playing it again when this coming Saturday, and yeah, I'm looking forward to more of your. I know you're probably gonna write another one eventually, right?
Oh yeah. I have no plans to stop.
I don't think so.
I've got plenty of ideas. I've got demos that I can keep throwing at Jill, and I'm sure she has some she can throw at me. So we're between the two of us, we got plenty going on.
Now, do you guys have other projects you guys do, or is it strictly just collaborating with Null Device?
I have a couple of other projects. I'm also one half of the band Clack. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but I work with Clack, and then I have a whole bunch of sort of one-off uh, little side projects here and there where I dump demos and things that don't fit with either Null Device or Clack. So
Wow.
Yeah, and for me, Null Device is my only musical project. Between music and day job and life, I don't know how I would fit anything else in. So this is probably going to be it for me.
You know, I heard that you're pretty good with plants. You have a green.
Oh, yes, I have a garden. Thank you. Yeah, I've got a nice perennial garden outside. It's very nice, very pretty. I go out and try to smell the flowers when I can. So
You know,
gotta wait
I
now.
don't-
Kind of like when we get to the month of February here and it's like the middle of winter and it's like, I'm just really tired of winter. I always start thinking to myself that I will have flowers blooming the next month because every year I have something start to bloom in March. So kind of helps me get through the winter a little bit, that something in my garden will come in March. So
yeah, because I know, like for me, I have sometimes, you know, I love flowers and plants, but I don't have a green thumb for some reason.
well, I would say I'm not very good with houseplants, but once they're outside, I do a lot better.
Yeah, you must be an earth sign. Uh,
Maybe so. I don't know. I don't know, born in March, so I don't know.
oh, you were born in, you're a Pisces?
I'm a Pisces, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you're a water sign. Well, that's why you're good with flowers.
All right. Well, that all works.
Wow, I'm looking forward to you know, to playing the interview and do you guys have any other thing going on that you want to mention that we forgot to mention?
not that I can think of. Thanks for having us on. This
Yeah,
was great.
thank you.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I'm enjoying. I'm familiar with the covers. I was looking at the covers you got there. You got the Pixies as well, right?
No, we did that one a long time ago.
Yeah. So are those in are they just released as singles?
Generally, yeah, they're just sort of one-offs. We throw them on Bandcamp or
Yeah.
whatever. They're just kind of things we do for fun to usually we do them as charity singles or something. We did a Woody Guthrie cover in
Yeah.
2017, just at the same time as the whole Charlottesville thing went down. So that became a fundraiser for like Southern Poverty Law Center. And
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I mean, it's good to have some covers, you know, some people, I mean, it's good to hear, you know, a different version, which I think it's wonderful.
yeah, thank you.
Wow, well, you know, congratulations on the Emerald Age. I look forward to down, you know, in you know, next year or year after, you know, if there's anything else coming up, I'll be looking out for it.
Excellent. Well,
Thank you.
we'll let you know.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me. Just one moment, let me turn this off. Thank you both.